Good afternoon. My name is Paul Scott. I'm the Executive Director here at Child Development Resources, and I'll be serving as the MC for today's brief program. I want to first thank everybody for coming out today and helping CDR celebrate 50 years of changing the lives of young children and their families. So thank you so much for being here today. I have the honor of introducing the chair of CDR's board, Mr. Eddie Robinson. Eddie and his wife Terry came to Williamsburg after Eddie concluded his career with the Mars Corporation, where he had oversight of their North American operations. So he's in the candy business, for those of you that aren't familiar with that. Eddie also serves as an executive partner at the William and Mary Mason School of Business. Eddie's proven his commitment to CDR in a number of ways, not the least of which was volunteering to revise CDR's bylaws and strategic plan. And Tommy, you'll appreciate he's one of the only living people I know that read Robert's Rules of Order from beginning to end and survived the televote. Eddie's been a very helpful board member, and we're delighted to have him serving as chair. I wanted, before Eddie got up, to thank he and his wife Terry for their loyal and generous support of CDR's mission, including underwriting the cost for today's event and the production of a beautiful book that will detail the history of CDR. Please help me welcome Eddie Robinson.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Paul. And welcome. Good afternoon. Welcome to what is essentially the first event in CDR's celebration of its 50-year anniversary. And this is literally our birthday party, because it was 50 years ago this month that members of St. Martin's Episcopal Mission established the Williamsburg Preschool for Special Children. And the first class had 5 students in it. Today, CDR, which is what that organisation became, helps 1,000 children and their families every year. And that doesn't happen without a lot of help. So my role today is to give an Oscar speech, which nearly went. Insofar as I've got to say thank you to many people in a really short period of time. So if you hear music or actually increasing in sound behind me, and I start to speak very quickly, you're going to know exactly where I am in my speech. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the governing bodies of, particularly focus on Williamsburg, James City County and York County. The relationship that CDR has had with the representatives of those bodies over the years is literally the foundation upon which its success is built. And we thank you for the friendship and help of the many representatives who we have dealt with. Secondly, there have been a number of institutions that have provided support on an ongoing basis. Now, there are a number, but I'd particularly like to highlight the Williamsburg Health Foundation and also the United Way of Greater Williamsburg and Virginia Peninsula. Now, those organisations, together with many businesses and private donors, are recognised behind you. If you walk through the building, you will see them on boards. We thank them all for what they've done for CDR. We don't have time to mention everyone, but I would like to say just a little bit about the donations that we've received for today's event. And the first one, I thank Paul's words, but I'm not the only one who donated to this event. Everything that you see has been provided by listed donors. There's a recognition here of all those, and there are many who have made contributions, so that literally there is no cost to CDR of this. All the money that we have to help the children remains. So my thanks to those who have provided donations and help to this event. The second thing is we used this particular event to act as a catalyst for renovation of the building that's behind you. Now, this building is actually 20 years old. It was first used in 1995, and as with any building, it starts to be tired and show a bit of its age through that time. If you go in now, and it's the first time you've seen it in a number of months, you will be amazed at basically what it looks like. And the donors are recognised on the event, but I particularly like to thank donations we received from Deborah Nice at David A. Nice Builders, also from Ferguson Corporation, solicited by Alex Hutchison, and the gardening, painting and landscape was provided by Van Nies Painting and Jeannie Jenkins of Secret Garden Interiors and Ken Rainey. Their donations will basically stay with us for longer today, and the biggest compliment I can give you is that staff think they're absolutely wonderful. So many, many appreciations. We also also have, this wouldn't have happened without a lot of time and effort being put in by an organising committee. It's been led by Anne Smith, who has been looking at the weather forecast daily for the last week and a half. Initially we were concerned it was going to rain, then we were concerned it was going to be sunny, and we're all delighted that we've got this. She's been helped by the members of our development committee, Mary Jean Hurst, Marcia Hargett and Betsy Edwards, but also a number of others, Katie Quigley, Lisa Thomas, Amy Bornoff, who you hear from in a second, and Kathy Ripley. And I would like to say, I was talking to Kathy earlier, and the CDR banner here is one that she made, I believe, about 15 years ago for an auction event. So thank you for giving us the title, Kathy, as well. I appreciate the consideration. Now, one thing, much of the funds that CDR gets to help the children come from grants from government, either local, state or federal, but that doesn't cover all the costs of the services that CDR provides, not now and certainly not into the future as the needs of the community expand. So today we're proud to announce the public part of a comprehensive campaign in which we're seeking to raise by the end of 2016 $1 million to help continue to provide the education for CDR. And I'm proud to announce that in the quiet phase of the campaign, we are already at donations and promises of over $200,000, and every member of the current CDR board has made a contribution to that. So today is a birthday party, but in the event you should feel so inspired by the speeches and you wish to contact a member of development, please feel free to do so. They will be delighted to talk to you. There's one more group that I would like to say thank you to, and that is staff. Over the years, CDR has been blessed with staff who not only have the skills and ability to help children, but in all honesty, the dedication and the passion to do so. We have had relatively few executive directors over the years. We are fortunate to have Paul Scott as the current director of CDR. Prior to that, there were only three, Barbara Canice, Lisa Thomas, and in particular Corinne Garland, who served for many years as the executive director of CDR and really left a legacy. And I think that legacy is captured in a letter that she received from a parent a few years back. And if you'll indulge me, I'd like to read it. It's quite short. You build the kind of organisation which has often been dreamed about, but which one rarely sees in practice. The atmosphere is warm and friendly, attitudes are flexible and egalitarian, and you all seem to be working toward a common goal. So on behalf of both current and past board members, I would like to thank the executive directors and all the staff who over many years have helped thousands of children and their family turn dreams of potential into reality. Our thanks to you. And we often think of the help that CDR gives locally, but over the years, CDR has become a centre of excellence and expertise and has helped many like organisations across the US, but particularly here in Virginia. And that brings me to the next speaker, and we're privileged to have with us today Senator Tommy Normant, representative of the 3rd District, leader of the House Senate for the state of Virginia, a teaching fellow for William and Mary and a long-time local resident. He has been a dedicated public servant, and within that has been a strong advocate and supporter of CDR. And so with that, I believe I hear the sound of music growing ever louder behind me. I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Tommy Normant, and thank you for listening.
Eddie, thank you very much. I just was chatting earlier with Eddie, and I have the privilege of serving on the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation Board of Trustees with Forrest Mars, who actually, on one fateful day in Geneva, convinced Eddie to come to work for Mars Candy. So I want to thank you. Now at every Colonial Williamsburg Foundation Board of Trustee meetings, we have M&Ms at every table, so that's absolutely delightful. It's indeed my pleasure to be here today, and as I look across the crowd, there are many friends who have known me for many, many years. I see my friends, the Ripleys over there, who actually I went to high school with. I think they were seniors when I was in the 5th grade. But we did know one another. And then the constant stalker, Gary Massey, who follows me around everywhere. I had the privilege on Friday to be with several of you over in Newtown. We were dedicating a new innovative center. It's a center that is designed to be an incubator. In other words, to help promising young businesses to get off the ground. And I really was reflecting about that. And I mentioned a little bit of history. I recalled in 1607 on May the 13th, a group of highly challenged and concerned Englishmen, Eddie, arrived down there at Jamestown, which resulted in the founding of this great continent and the new world that we live in. And if you can imagine those 104 individuals landing in this country where the only thing that they could rely upon was their own self-initiative and their own self-reliance. And in fact, they had to come together as a community and rely upon one another in the resources that they could create in that community in order to sustain themselves and to found this new country. As I was driving down Croker Road, I couldn't help but reflect on Friday, and I was thinking back in 1965, as Eddie shared with you, when CDR actually got its start over there in St. Martin's. I had just finished high school. Ann Bradshaw Smith, who is much younger than I am, was at least an entire year behind me on it. But I really was. I was thinking about that point in time, and this community, as some of you know, was much smaller. We all seemed to know one another. We reacted and interacted with each other on a frequent basis. And I recall being in the old James Blair High School, which in those days went 7 through 12. And I remember the few students that we had who had special needs. And it was very interesting. In those late 50s and early 60s, there really were not any significant and meaningful local resources to deal with students that had special needs. And I recall that the conventional wisdom was to try to mainstream many of those students with special needs who actually were challenged to function within the conventional framework of the educational system that was delivered at that time. Over in St. Martin's and in this community, just as back in 1607, where the members of that community had to rely upon one another, a group of citizens came together and they had a vision, and that vision was that we need to be self-reliant. We need to demonstrate our own individual initiative and come up with some special program for these children with special needs. And the journey began that went from St. Martin's to St. Bede's to the Methodist basement, finally over to Centerville, and here we are today. And it has been an incredible journey. And if you think about the strides that this community has made over the last 50 years and the vitality of this program at CDR, it is absolutely incredible. As I was reading some of the material about CDR, I was reminded in 1978 when the first bid and buy auction took place, the handsome sum of $2,500 was raised from that first bid and buy auction. I would say Michael Hipple, has that in his pocket right now. And Michael, you can come on down and just leave it right here, and I'll see where it is on it. But then you fast forward from 1978 to around 2010, and it was around that period of time where the artist who did the cover to this, started stalking me along with Corinne, and that was my dear friend. And as she said, I am the only Republican that she has ever voted for in her life. And so I take that as a true compliment. But Kathy Hornsby, who is the artist that did the rendition on the front, and she and Corinne were formidable. That's as nice as I can be. They were formidable, and they were persistent and captured my attention. And I've had the privilege over the years, along with our other local legislators, of trying to find resources on the state level to help. But it has taken persistency, it has taken community commitment, it has taken our own individual reliance rather than reliance on state or federal government to do the marvelous things that CDR has done. The other thing that occurred to me, and I know there are a number of elected officials here in the crowd, and I don't know if they've ever shared or had this individual thought that I've had. Many times, those of us that are in public service, and I prefer to use that term as opposed to the term of politics, but many times those of us in public service are confronted with making some very difficult choices and some very difficult votes. And I have found over the years that it is much easier for me to cast a vote if in fact I have no vivid visualization of an individual or a group of individuals that might impact. If in fact, when I'm getting ready to take a vote, a face of an individual, and especially a child, comes into my vision, it really makes things very, very challenging. My oldest daughter is a kindergarten teacher, and for a number of years taught in the Williamsburg-James City County school system. And it's amazing as I watched her evolving from being just a teacher of kindergarten age children until she had her first child. And little Thomas Wyatt was a handful from the moment of birth. And being the teacher, she had expectations of her firstborn that most of us have. And young Thomas Wyatt, for some reason, in spite of his mother's verbalization and loquaciousness, was not talking at the pace that his teacher mother thought that he should. And so she brought young Thomas Wyatt out here to CDR, and some of the folks out here at CDR worked with him, and he has not stopped talking since. So I'm not exactly sure how to react to that, but whenever I now think about CDR, I can tell you, at least in the small world where I function, young Thomas Wyatt's face is always in front of me, and it becomes very, very personal. I had the privilege, along with my colleagues in the General Assembly, of having the Senate of Virginia, with the concurrence of my good friends in the House of Delegates, of passing Senate Resolution 101. I did my best to try to get Senate Resolution number 50, but I just wasn't quick enough, so we'll just have to save this resolution, and I will be here for the 101st anniversary. So, and you bring the M&Ms and I'll be here, okay? But this resolution hangs inside the building at CDR, and I'm not going to read it to you, but I would invite you to take the opportunity to review the resolution, because it really is a wonderful recitation of the history and the accomplishments and the achievements of CDR. So thank each and every one of you for being here. Thank all of you for your contributions, whether it has been contributions and money, and Michael Hipple has got a matching campaign going, so anybody that wants to match it, we'll be happy to take it. But all of you have contributed your time, your energy, and your leadership for really an incredible local, created and initiated organization that continues to serve young people all across the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I say to you at CDR, bless you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator North, for not only your guidance of this proclamation through the General Assembly, but also to your commitment to the community from back when he was on the Board of Supervisors, early in CDR's time.
About 1699.
I also, we didn't want to go to take the time to go through them, but we wanted to thank the members of the governing bodies of the City of Williamsburg, City of Poquoson, James City County, and York County, many of whom are here today. They've also issued proclamations honoring CDR's 50th anniversary, and they're in the office. If you go down the hall to the left, they're all hanging on the wall in there, and we encourage you to go see those. I also wanted to thank all the board members, past and present, for all of their commitment to CDR. Today would really not be possible without their commitment to children in this community, and their impact on CDR will be felt for many years. If anybody is here is on the board or ever served on the board, if you could either wave or if you'd like to stand, we want to recognize and thank you for all you've done. And Senator Hornet did a great job of mentioning the staff and giving you a little snippet into the kind of impact they can have. And I also want to say how much I appreciate the hard work of our entire team, because without their work, none of this would ever happen. Since 2009, the enrollment that CDR has experienced for children with disabilities has increased 59%. But over that same time frame, the funding to do the work has only increased 1%. So clearly, the community support that we enjoy is as important today as it's ever been in CDR's history. So for those of you that are here today who have contributed to CDR's mission, I say thank you, and we look forward to partnering with you in the future to make sure the community, the children in this community get the services that they need. So thank you for that. And next, you get to have a real special treat. You get to hear just one of the many stories of the lives that are impacted by CDR's work. And I now have the pleasure to introduce Amy and her daughter Madison Bornhoff. Amy first came to CDR as a parent and then later as a part-time staff. This is going to sound like a familiar story for a lot of you. Later as a part-time employee, and now she serves as director of CDR's training programs. I got to know Amy first as a parent and when her daughter was much younger, and I'm delighted for you to hear their story. So please help me welcome Amy and Madison Bornhoff.
Hi, I'm Amy Bornhoff, the Director of Training for CDR and former parent, and I have with me Madison. And we decided the easiest way to share our story with you all would be to do kind of a question and answer. So I'm going to interview her, and she's going to give you some answers so that you have some insight into the wonderful benefits that we've received from being a part of CDR. Okay, so you want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Madison Bornhoff, and I'm 8.5 years old, and my journey of CDR is, it's really important to me and my family.
What brought us here to CDR?
What?
Why did we come to CDR?
Because I had trouble walking, so they taught me how to walk.
And who did that? Do you remember who did that with us?
Mm.
Janelle.
Yeah. So thank you, Miss Janelle. And
And what did CDR figure out, Ms. Janelle? She put lots of work into it. She figured out what it was that you had, and what is it that you had?
I was diagnosed with
That's right.
sensory processing disorder, and it was really tough.
And did you get to come up here at all?
Yeah.
What did you do up here?
I played, and
In the play group over
Yeah.
there? Yeah. And you worked with Miss Amanda?
yeah.
Yes.
And even though they're really serious with their work, but they make it a lot of fun and stuff.
So what does CDR mean to you, Maddie?
CDR means that they are helpful, they are careful, and they put a lot of work to make children really safe and they know and prepared for the bigger life of growing up. CDR is really careful and they really help everybody in need. And that's what CDR means to me. And this is what CDR means to everyone.
How about another round of applause? for sharing your story and being willing to do that. And what Madison had the opportunity to do was unveil, I think I'm going to say this wrong, but a gliche print or cliche or of an original piece of artwork that's now hanging in the lobby as you walk into the lobby of CDR. It was we actually asked Kathy Hornsby if she would be willing to do an original work for us. And when she embarked on that process, she asked all the staff and families what CDR meant to them and kind of phrases and words that come to mind and colors and images. And so what you see here is a beautiful, I think she captured everything that the staff had input on perfectly. It's a mixed media work inside, and it's going to hang there in a place of honor inside of our office. I also wanted to thank and recognize, I've noticed today, and I failed to do it earlier, but to thank the many families who have shared their stories over the years that we've published in our newsletters and our annual reports. There's many of them in the big room back here, the conference room where the board meets and staff meet, and also in the 50th anniversary press releases we'll have in the Virginia Gazette. You'll see quite a few news stories, and there's some of those hanging in the building. So for those of you that have been willing to share your story, we really appreciate that. And please, if you could help me thank them by giving them a round of applause for doing so. Cards of this will be available at a later date. And I wanted to, as we wrap up, say a few things about what's ahead next for CDR. And I wanted to say how excited we are to partner with the Chamber of Commerce. I see Karen's here from the Chamber in their event, which is an exciting event for our community that will kick off next Monday. It's called the Fireball Run Adventure Rally. And none of us are really sure what's going to happen, but we know it's going to be a lot of fun. So we will look, if you can come join us, we're going to be at in Main Street in Newtown, Monday, September 28th from 3:30 to 6, and then again the following morning, which is Tuesday morning, on Dog Street from 8 to 9:30, where they'll have free coffee and donuts as the race teams head to their next destination. So as we conclude the formal part of our event today, we're going to actually kick off the anniversary by cutting this cake. And I bet you all are looking at this cake thinking there's not enough cake for everybody here. And you're right. And so that's why the whole room back there is filled with cupcakes. So we want to make sure that you have a chance to tour the building, go into the conference room, and there's somebody in there that'll help you with the cupcake distribution, I am sure. But please enjoy the music out back. We've got cupcakes, hot dogs, food, ice cream, and all kinds of fun back there, bounce houses for the kids. So again, thank you so much for being here today to help us commemorate 50 years of service to the community. Thank you. Eddie, you want to help cut half of this? Senator, you want to get in here maybe? Do we all stand behind it? Yeah, where'd Madison go? Come here, you get to make You ever cut a cake this big before?